And on today's show, we have Chris Nuñez, who's a graphic designer here in Marin County. And welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. Take it away and introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Nuñez. I am the Director of Marketing and Communications at MCM. And I do graphic design mostly, amongst other things. And I'm happy to be here.
I'm really excited to have you on the show and looking forward to learn more about you and the work that you do. Graphic design is very important today, more than ever, I think. But before that, we like to do something on the show, and it's called an Icebreaker Question, just to like ease the nerves and stuff, because you get nervous on here. So as you know, these past few days, it's been really, really hot, and like you feel uncomfortable in every way. So what is your go-to drink for like hot summer days?
Hot coffee.
Hot coffee? I saw you drinking hot coffee. Can you explain that? Because to me, is like ice.
If I were to guess, it's probably like a comfort thing.
Okay.
Just because I have to have it. So maybe that's more of an addiction thing.
Oh, interesting. Have you ever considered iced coffee? Or does it taste different to you?
Sounds inhumane.
Okay.
Wait, so you don't like iced coffee?
I don't even know what that is.
Okay, interesting.
Ice and coffee?
Like, it's iced coffee. Like coffee with ice. You've never seen that?
You're joking, right?
They put ice in coffee?
Yeah.
What is the point?
To make it cool.
So you can drink it during like hot summer days.
My
I'm
mind is blown right now.
Dude, he's like being sarcastic.
I am very much joking.
I'm like, you've never heard of it. It's okay.
No, I know what it is. It's all right. It's not my go-to, but I mean,
I'm just curious. I was like, you're drinking hot coffee in this weather? Okay. But I guess if it works, it works.
what's your go? Is it? Are we talking about drink or just way to cool down?
Your go-to drink for hot days?
Yeah, what is your go-to drink for a hot day?
Water and ice.
Water? Okay.
Water and ice.
Yeah, me too. Just water and ice.
I can't do sweets in the heat. I feel like it doesn't do anything. Water and ice.
Or an iced tea.
No, that too.
Yeah, an iced tea.
Yeah. But I love coffee. Like, coffee is like, I love coffee. But I don't drink it every day. And when it's super hot and I'm like, I want coffee, I'll do it with ice. I'll like do it at home. Nice coffee.
You two probably don't realize it, but you just dropped the biggest pun ever.
What is it?
What?
Ice and water, icebreaker.
Oh.
Well done.
Just so laughing.
I didn't even realize.
Well, great. You see, this kind of gets like us in the mood of to be relaxed, because I get nervous even though I do this all the time. Thank you both for sharing. Now let's start with getting to know you more. I do want to start off with have you always been in Marin, or did you move here?
So I was born in, is it Green Bay? What is General Hospital in? Is it Green Bay?
Green Bay?
There? Yeah, Green Bay. So I was born there, raised in Santa Fe. We did move around a lot. So, Bayview Apartments, Santa Venetia a couple of times in the La Brea Apartments, Marin Lagoon, which is behind the Embassy Suites Hotel. There's a few apartments in there, like in the entrance. Los Angeles a couple of times. So, yeah. So yes and no, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
How is it like living in Marin and Los Angeles? Like, what is the difference? Like, which did you like the most?
Well, my younger brother's dad owned a taqueria in Los Angeles. So having taqueria food surprisingly never got tiring, and I loved it. Like, his horchata was the best horchata ever.
Ooh.
Ever.
I can go for one right now.
Okay. So talk to us a little bit more about your family. You mentioned earlier that your family is part Mexican, correct? Or
my dad is from Guadalajara. He immigrated here when he was, I believe, 17. I'd have to ask. I can't confirm that. I would do want to say in his late teens, though, somewhere around there. My mom is from here. My grandma immigrated here from Germany during the Second War.
Okay.
So I guess, second generation on my mom's side, first generation on my dad's side.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you have like different cultures.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. Don't know much about the German part. They sort of, lost connection because she left, and they didn't like my grandfather because whatever reason. Not from there or something. Who really knows?
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, I was just gonna ask that's interesting. I mean, growing up with different cultures is very, very different, and I think you and I can relate as well. Like our families are America, California. There's so many different cultures. So when you have all of those different cultures, it can teach you a lot of things. How was school for you?
School in regards to.
I mean, especially when you have different cultures, school can be very different for a student who's, what is the name for it? Multi something.
Different backgrounds.
Yeah, different backgrounds. Yeah.
So I went to Terra Linda for high school, and at that time, I don't know how it is now. It was not too diverse.
Okay.
So if I look back at my group of friends, it was me being, half Mexican, half Caucasian. Another friend that was Mexican. 2 friends that were Salvadorian. One was Peruvian, one was Turkish, and the other one was Egyptian. So we were, essentially non-white, and we kind of just gravitated towards each other, and it was just sort of natural. And not to say that there weren't other people that weren't from other backgrounds, but I mean, if you were to have walked on the quote-unquote playground at that time and just pointed out, where's the diversity, there's probably maybe 3 or 4 pockets, and the rest was just, Caucasian students. So it in terms of that, it feels different. You don't feel like you belong per se, but I don't think it was a feeling where you hated it, because I think at that age I was very, I still am. I'm very proud of who I am. So, and I don't have any like, they don't like me because I'm Mexican. I didn't care. I love being, Mexican. So,
oh, wow. I think Terra Linda is now more diverse.
I would imagine it is.
Yeah, it's very more. It's diverse now. Where did you go to college? Like after high school?
I spent a couple years just figuring things out. I think maybe a year or a couple semesters at Santa Rosa JC. I had no idea what I wanted to do at all. Thought about being a lawyer. Thought about being a firefighter. I thought about being, I can't even remember. I had no idea. So I just gave that up and just worked retail jobs for a few years. And then I went to the Academy of Art University because I wanted to be an illustration major and do concept art for movies and video games and that kind of stuff.
Oh, interesting. The Academy of Arts.
Yeah.
Where's that?
San Francisco?
San Francisco, yeah.
Okay, I do know that one. Okay. Now, that's interesting how you said you studied 2 years at SRJC. You took a break. What got you to say, I want to be an illustrator?
I think because I was playing around with it a lot with Photoshop. So, I mean, at that time, I think those kind of programs were thousands of dollars, and I really wanted to do it, and I just found a way to get it. I'm not going to implicate myself in any kind of way right now, but I found a way to get it, and I got to play around, and I started doing art in there, and I just loved it, and I just this is what I want to do. I want to make concept art for movies or the entertainment industry. That's what I wanted to do.
So you graduated. What did you major in?
In SRJC?
No, at the Academy of...
I started as an illustration major. I got a job with the county doing a logo.
Okay.
And the amount of money they paid me for it was ridiculous.
Okay.
I had no idea. And I probably got shorthanded too because I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay.
And I was like, this is way more money than, 80 hours for a drawing at a fraction of the value. And I was like, I'm going to change to graphic design.
Okay, so you were an illustrator, and then you got that job. You did the logo, and then you changed your major to
Graphic design.
graphic design.
Graphic
Okay,
design.
perfect. That makes more sense of the story, because usually what we go and ask is, what did you major in? But we don't realize is when you're in college, and even if you're not in college, you don't have yourself figured out 100%, that you're constantly changing and you see things you like. And then what you like right now in like 2 years or 3 years, it might not be what you like. And so there's this constant thing that I've noticed, that you need to have everything figured out. But it's okay to change, and different things will lead you to different things. And I wanted to see how you went to becoming a graphic designer. So thank you for sharing that, and just kind of a message to everyone too, that you might not have it right now, and it might be shifting over the years. Do you want to ask anything or add anything?
I was gonna say, what logo did you do with Marin?
It was the Children's Health Initiative for First Five of Marin, and I believe the rest of the state followed what I did. Not like for like. Some counties did. They followed what I did exactly, but some took the idea and sort of changed it a bit to fit their county. And I was very proud of that. That felt really good.
So it's still used today?
I'd have to check that. It might be, yeah. Children's Health Initiative. Check it out. See, it could be.
Really?
Oh, that's amazing. So what is graphic designing for those who don't know? Because I also don't really know.
Graphic design. So when I switched majors to graphic design, and I took the sort of philosophical introduction to graphic design that we have to take, one of the things the instructors asked us is to define it. There we go. I got it. Nailed it. And she expressed that there really is no definition, that it's very like interpretable, and that you would figure out what that definition is on your own. And so I have my own definition that I kind of concluded towards the end of my like education, but that can vary, and you have to consider the context too of that definition.
So what is the definition for you?
For me, it is strategic visual communication, utilizing data and objective measures. So using
No idea what he said. No, I'm just kidding.
So thinking about how the human mind interacts with shapes and letters, time as a reference, how it handles asymmetry, symmetry, color, all those things happen at fractions of a second in the human mind. So considering those kind of variables, you kind of strategize your design to communicate your message in that kind of frame. So again, context matters too, because that doesn't matter if you're just doing it for fun, because design can be art if you're just doing it as expression. But if you're doing it as a professional, you are trying to get your clients or your employer's message out within, in today's day, a very short window, and you need to like accept that these are your variables and you have to meet them. So it's kind of removes, in a way, it removes like worrying about whether or not people will like it, and you only have to worry about, will people understand it quickly within 1 second. Is really what your goal is. It changes the goal.
I've always thought of graphic design. Well, I love graphic design and art in general. I started in photography, and I took a class in graphic design in high school. And one of the things that I was fascinated by is how the designer interpreted certain things and put, the art that was created. And I really didn't understand graphic design. It was really hard for me to understand. And then I didn't also understand how much it's used. Like the Apple in your computer and your iPhone, that was done by a designer, a graphic designer. The water bottles that you pick up, that the way it's designed, it was done by a graphic designer. Everything around you is graphic design. It's which I found fascinating, and how graphic design has developed over years. It's not something new. Usually when you hear graphic design, it's like, what is that? And a lot of people don't know you can take it as a career and become very professional in it. So what I noticed is that it's been for years and years. And I asked you earlier, do you know when it started? And we were kind of looking up. But to me, I think it's been here for a really long time. It's just developed over the years into now, like the small, like you said, the small space that you have to catch someone's attention with social media, right? It's like swiping. That nowadays I feel like graphic design is so much more used than before because of how many people can see your work now via social media. But when designing or going into that path, was there someone who inspired you to continue?
I don't think there was any inspirational figure. So one of the things that I really loved, and this is probably what inspired me to continue, is I love soccer. I love sports in general, especially at that age. And so I really, really wanted to design sports logos and uniforms and all those things. So just the idea of being able to do that professionally was the big driver for me. Yeah, that's my inspiration, is just the idea of doing it professionally, something that you actually love. Because for me, growing up, like working the rest of your life, even at that young age, like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Like, I see people who work all day, it just seems so miserable. And I was like, I'm just going to make sure I get a job that I don't hate. That's my goal. And so I couldn't figure that out in my early adulthood. And then I thought about it. Well, I can do design, and then I could design sports logos at the same time. I was like, that seemed unbelievable to me, but it was possible. So that's what drive me.
Wow. Was there any teacher that also like inspired you to keep going or inspired you to do something?
I don't think there's any teacher that inspired me, but I learned a lot. So that school gave me access to very successful people in the graphic design industry who just knew a lot, worked at very big design firms. And a lot of the things that I'll say will even be, just me repeating what they say. That really stuck with me. Do I, look up to them and all that kind of stuff? Not really, no. Not all of them are good people. I believe one of them was on the Beyond Petroleum team when they did the Gulf spill. At the time, they were called British Petroleum. Their stock was declining because of I don't know if you all remember that. It was probably before 2006.
I was like a baby.
5.
Oh, okay. Well,
I was just born.
There's a big oil spill in the Gulf, right? And it was the company British Petroleum, and public outrage and all that kind of stuff. And he was on the team that redid their logo, and because they did all that, everybody's like, oh, they're going to change, they're going to do well, and it was all BS. So there's that side of it too, where it's not used for good. It's used to make terrible things sound better than what they are.
Okay.
So one of my other side definitions of graphic design is to make, it's a expletive word, so I'll just say it's to make poop look like gold or sound like gold.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah, I can see that.
I can see that because graphic design is supposed to be, well, I think there's two ways, because I do work for myself. I do design work for myself, and I love it. Like I think I have a hard time sometimes, like, for example, for me, talking about very intense subjects. It's hard for me to express it that way and talking it in front of people. But if you tell me to take a photo or do an art with it, I can. It's a way to express if my voice. That's how I see it. But when you're doing it in the professional side, you're trying to take other people's voices and putting it and create a design with that. And so I can see why you say taking poop into gold, because what if that, and you're trying to make it more appealing, more attractive, more so for people to like it, so I can see both of those things, which is interesting. One of the other reasons that I really got into graphic design was my teacher, she decided for us to study different graphic designers and the impact that their art did. And so that has inspired me to create art like that. When I think of graphic design, like there's a lot of people who've done art that have helped and supported different causes. Which is when you said a teacher or something, I feel like that is what inspires. And a lot of people in the music and the artistic world, a lot of them is just their voice. That's the way they express themselves.
I was gonna ask another question because you said that you don't necessarily like look up to your teachers or anything, but you took some of their words. What is something that has spoken to you the most that a teacher has said?
My favorite quote or my favorite kind of like approach is, don't try to be the best, just try to be good. And the reason why is when you try to be the best, you're more prone to making mistakes and potentially making your client look unprofessional. So like when you try to be good, the baseline is, hey, my client or my employer looks professional. They go to a meeting, whoever they're in a meeting with takes them seriously because they look that way. So that's sort of like it's sort of a philosophical thing. Like, don't try to be the best. Don't swing for the fences because you might strike out, or you probably will strike out. So just, go for the the single. Go for first base. You don't need to go for the stands all the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I like that.
What's an advice a teacher has told you that's stuck with you? Yeah.
I would have to think about it. I don't know. Probably none.
None?
Not that I can think of.
Interesting.
Has the teachers?
Yes. My Avid teacher said, you have everything you need to succeed. And that's you.
That's true.
It always stuck with me by heart.
I have like horrible memories. So I can't.
No, I mean, he passed away, and then that message was his speech that he gave for graduation in Terrell High School, and I think a year after he passed away. It stuck with me and everything. I'm like, whether it's in graphic design or talking on the show or working out or going to school, you have hard times sometimes, and even when you're designing, you like, or you're on Tay, you get all nervous.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have everything I need. That's me. Everything's in me.
I actually just like remembered my English teacher from last year. I was like really close to him, and then like there was like times where like I didn't want to do something, or like something like I was just like, I don't want to do it, or like something like that. But he was basically said, he's like, you're so much more capable than what you think you can do. Because I was like I didn't want to do like anything, and I was like, I'm not going to graduate or anything. And then I ended up graduating. He was telling me, he's like, you're so smart, Kimberly. He's like, you can do it. He's like, you're just making yourself, you can't do it. Like that, you can't do it. And he's like, you're going to do so many good things in the world. He's like, you just need to believe in yourself. And I'm like, but yeah, he's like the best English teacher. I really like him.
He's right. Everyone is capable of amazing things. Everyone.
That's true.
Okay. I do agree. I'm like, okay in my head. Now, what is the significance of communication in graphic design? It's a very like...
I sort of feel like we touched that on a bit, just because I think these days folks don't have, a lot of time to pay attention to things, and you have to work within that frame. That's the reality that you have to deal with. So the importance is just adapting messaging to fit that time frame. That's the importance. So if you have something to say, you kind of have to tailor to that and use graphic design to get that out there. So whatever that is, again, like huge type, not much out, no paragraphs. Nobody has, you remember the meme? Ain't nobody got time for that?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's like my mantra when I'm working. Like, ain't nobody got time for that. Like, I'll design something, I'll look at it. If it's too busy, there's too much, that meme comes to my head. Ain't nobody got time for that, Chris.
Oh, that's so interesting to look at it that way.
Oh, like how when you were telling me, like, oh, does this need more space? Something like that, or no?
Yeah, it looked like it was just too much to read, right?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. I didn't have time for it. Kimberly didn't have time for it.
Yeah, I was like, I personally wouldn't really.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the reality. You just have to, it adapts. Sometimes I feel like even as a designer, it's starting to become obsolete with animation and video. Like I'm looking at animation right now. Actually, I'm sort of looking at woodworking, but that's a different thing. That's like maybe 5 years down the line. But
Woodworking?
yeah.
What is that?
Like making chairs and tables and...
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought,
Yeah.
Did you want to go into animation?
No.
No.
I feel like I have to because of my career. Like I have to at least learn some form of animation to make like my typography move when someone sees it on their screen, just because that's stimulating. Because again, a lot of things require stimulation to get people's attention. We're a high stimulation society now.
Fancy.
It's deep.
No, I was just thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, that's so true. What kind of design inspires you? Or project, my bad. What kind of design projects are you interested in or interest you?
I don't think there's any like subcategory anymore for me.
Okay.
I like the idea of the challenge. Like, how can I make this make sense? Like, for example, like, how can I make like an infographic tell a story without using very many words? Like, almost like traffic signs, right? You know what they mean without reading them. So it's like that, like leading the eye around a page without really telling them where to go. So anything that really kind of brings that challenge of navigation without very many words. So whatever that can be anything. That's sort of the I go for. I'm like, oh, this is exciting. This is great. I don't know if I'm going to be able to be successful, but I'm going to enjoy doing this because it's a challenge and it's fun to do it.
This kind of like going back to when you were talking about in college. I was just wondering if you ended up ever designing anything in sports.
I think on my own free time, I did a bunch of stuff just for myself. I want to say there was one instance where, because they were very like rigid, like you're doing this, you're doing it within these parameters. Like they really challenged you to think outside the box. So you didn't really get to choose what you wanted to do too often. But there was one where they had like a set of words and you get to pick those words and do whatever you want with. So I think the words were like there's like steamers and all this, and I saw steamers and I was like, oh, like trains, like old school trains. And like the other one was Santa Fe. I was like, Santa Fe Steamers, perfect. So I made a little soccer team, Santa Fe Steamers.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Do you keep your graphic, like your work? Do you have like a file or?
I keep some of my stuff on the Adobe Creative Cloud. I might have stuff on my old PC. I have an old DeviantArt. Shout out to anybody who knows what that is.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to get more into hearing how you design, the process of your design work, how you all of that stuff. But right now we're going to go on a break. We're going to play a song called Walking Stars by Ismael Lara.
With you by my side.
Yeah. In the whip, thinking of your smile and your perfect laugh. I know you're still alive, cause I feel presence. See next to me with you by my side. I'm indestructible, more powerful. I'm gonna make you proud. Saying I don't wanna one south. Fast tracking through the Golden Gate, trying to get home a buy. I know everything's gonna be alright. Cause last week I seen you in my dream, and you said it's ain't bye. You said don't shed no more tears. I just want you to know these sparkling tears contain core memories and spark the projection from the fondest memories of my life. Each tear's a flashback. Each tear runs down my face like a half-bag. I celebrate them. This path I was meant for. Pain and lessons, gifts from the heavens, no longer question. They strain my bond, my sons, so we don't commit the same mistakes in the streets cold game. To transform darks to light, we meant for. To help others spark they shine, I was made for. I am king, gradual unconditional love is what evolved my wings. This is how I flew out of eternal purgatory. Changing mind patterns to aviate to fly patterns. Moving through the cosmos like the Green Lantern. With you by my side, I'm afraid to fly. With you by my side, I feel the urgency to truly live life. With you by my side, I understand we don't ever really die. We walking stars destined to rise. We rise.
Welcome back, everyone. We're going to be doing a quick PSA again. My PSA for today is that I'm an intern with the Marin Office of Equity, and I wanted to share a little about what the office is doing. The Marin Office of Equity has a participatory budgeting project, which is known as PB. PB is a citizen engagement process in which the community members decide how to spend a portion of money and how can this money improve equity in Marin. The budget this year is $2.5 million. That's a whole lot of money. Well, you, a community member, get to decide how you want to spend it. This gives real power to the community. It is a year-long process. Some examples of ideas are public safety, housing, education, and training, jobs and business development, and more. But if you have any ideas on where you want or where you would like to spend this money, let us know. You can send us a DM. Currently, the Marin Office of Equity does not have an Instagram, so you can text Tay Radio or DM me as well at Kimberly Escobar with 3 R's on Instagram, and let me know if you have an idea, and I can tell the team. And that is all, and we'd love to have hear your ideas. And also, Santi will be doing a PSA as well.
Yeah, so if you are from the ages of 15 to 21 and you want to make some money, there is a paid internship with MCM Presente. The application is open now, and it's going to be closed until next week. So if you want to get more information, you can contact Diango on the Multicultural Center of Marin website, or you can visit Tay Radio Marin's Instagram, and we'll be posting information on that. But I highly recommend it if you want to make some money. You can earn up to $1,500. So that's coming up. And if you're interested in getting a job, there's a couple of positions open in different places as a cashier, manager, a prep, a driver, a sales assistant. So if you want more information on that, you can contact Sally Newson at 415-847-2534. You can shoot her a text saying that I'm interested in the job, the jobs that are being offered, and she'll help you out. That is all for our PSA. We're back with Chris. We've talked a little bit of everything, and it's been very interesting to hear, and I'm learning a lot.
Is Kimberly learning?
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot. We work together, and I am fascinated by learning from others who have more experience, who've done this for years, and they like pave a path for you that's easier. But we do want to know more on like how graphic design works and how that process is. So how would you describe the process of designing as a graphic designer?
In an ideal world, your client or your employer has all their content clearly defined. Every word, every phone number, all of those things. That is the foundation or the blueprint of a design. You don't design and then fit things in there. That's how it looks, disorganized and amateurish. You get all the information set up first, established, official, and then you build the design around it. One way to look at it is you don't pick out the furniture and then build the house around it. You build the house, the foundation first, and then you put in the furniture and the wallpaper and things like that. So that's kind of like, the ideal situation. Now in the real world, that's not the case. Like sometimes things happen. It is difficult, especially at first when you are doing this, like to continually like, man, I just spent 10 hours on this. Now you want me to change it and it ruins my layout. But eventually you kind of plan ahead for that and you just get used to it and the frustration goes away. It's part of life. So, but in an ideal world, that's the process.
If it was easy, that's the process.
Content would be defined ahead of time.
Okay.
Yeah, clearly defined. Not just like, I think we want to use this, we're going to use this, but maybe we're not going to use this. No, like for sure, every word has been made official. Every number, every contact point, everything.
What is your process with designing? In the realistic world, I just need to hear someone like
like if they have something that's due in October or November, like just hearing them say like, hey, I need this and it's about XYZ, my brain starts working. So getting the idea out was the hardest part for me, and it's probably for most people. And so technically I'm always working, because when somebody says I need this, my brain goes, okay, so this is the challenge, this is the problem. So I'm cooking breakfast, I'm thinking about work. Anything, I'm thinking about the problem. And so that's how I work. And then I just start laying down my ideas, just pencil or tablet these days. And then if something looks good, you kind of go with it, see what happens. If it doesn't, you throw it away. If it still looks good as you go with it, you keep going with it. So just like in the simplest way, that's the process.
Are you currently thinking of one right now?
Yes, I am.
What is it?
I am thinking of the Day of the Dead one.
Oh, yeah. You're
For
working
the
on
magazine ad, yep. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking about one that our executive director has been working with me on for the outside of the building. It's a piece of work that he found that he likes from a street artist, and I'm recreating it and then getting it on the wall, thanks to pictures from Santi from like 6 months ago, which has been used a lot, in discussions and planning. So thank you for that.
No problem.
Those are the two things. That one keeps getting put like back because, everyone's programs and needs are, more important than, a wall, basically. Mm-hmm. Like, we would love to get that done ASAP, but, getting, program information out ASAP is, is more important. Things that actually serve the community, firsthand.
Yeah, and for those who are listening, there is this big event that MCM hosts, Day of the Dead, right? Am I correct on that? And the promotion, everything you'll see, the flyers, the posts, is all Chris, the design work, with collaboration of many other people behind, which leads me to my next question is, are you comfortable collaborating on your design projects? Like, how is that for you? Is it easy, hard, fun, not fun?
A part of it depends on your comfort level with who you're working with.
Okay.
So, and again, it's also going to be depending on who you are, right? Mm-hmm. Me, I don't like confrontation. Like, at all costs, I will avoid it. So, like, if someone really wants something, fine. There you go. I'll give it to you. I don't care. It's not a big deal for me. But if I feel I have good rapport with someone and, I'm comfortable giving feedback and suggestions on why maybe their idea might not work out too well, then I'll provide that. But it's dependent on that. And not that I'm uncomfortable working with someone who I don't feel like I can give my suggestions. Like, I'm fine with compromising. It's just, there's too many variables to really give a straight answer on that one.
I mean, and he is like that. He's very chill. Yeah. Working with you, I've noticed you're very
just the world is the world, life is life, and things are gonna happen, and that's just the way it is. So yeah.
Speaking on working with others, how do you incorporate feedback on your designs? I
look forward to it. There can be a lot of guesswork. Mm-hmm. And when someone provides feedback or a suggestion, it just takes out that guesswork. The big stressor for me for design is guessing. Like, I don't want to guess. Like, I want to know the facts. I want to know what my challenge is. I want to know what all the variables are. So when someone says, hey, what about this? Or I need this, or it needs this, I'm like, great, perfect, thank you. I'll take care of it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how do you deal with negative feedback? Or is there negative feedback?
What would you consider negative feedback?
That's why I'm like, is there negative feedback?
Like, if someone says, I don't like this, and they leave it there, I'm like, okay, tell me how you really feel. Like, I'll probably make a joke.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's why I said, is there even negative feedback? Because there's a constructive feedback, right? Where someone will tell you something, and that's not to bring you down rather than lift you up. But maybe by negative, what would be a negative? People not liking your design style, process. I don't know.
Someone saying like, "Oh, it's
like
crazy."
ugly." Or something. How would you deal with that?
As a baseline, I am my own biggest critic. So
Oh.
I put something out. I'm like, it could be better. If someone were to say like, this is terrible, this is crap, I'd be like, I mean, I already know that. So you ever doubt that?
Okay, interesting.
And again, circling back to me like doing for fun, sports logos and stuff like that. I put that on the internet, and when you put something on the internet, you better have thick skin because people are not nice. And so I got a lot of comments on some of my stuff. I learned from those comments too, though. You try to redo a soccer logo without realizing that soccer team has been around for over 100 years and is a big part of someone's community, and you go ahead and change it. That's insulting to them. So
in some ways, yeah.
They're gonna give you an earful, and you're gonna be like, "What did I do wrong?" And then you learn more about the traditions of these soccer clubs and these communities. You're like, "Oh, okay, I see what I did wrong." So sometimes you get an earful and it hurts your feelings, but at the same time, sometimes you learn something from it. Like, why is this person so upset about this? It's just a soccer club. It's not just a soccer club.
I love how you take that the feedback you get of criticism, in a way to help you rather than bring you down. And I think that's really hard to do, especially when you put your work on social media. The negative comments, or for a lot of people, bring people down.
Oh yeah.
So the fact that you've learned to use it in your favor is, I think it's so important. It's a very important thing to have always with you.
Yeah.
And you just gotta always remember that in anything you do, not everyone's gonna like it, and it's okay.
Yep.
And, and if people don't, my mom always tells me, if you're doing something and people don't like it, that means you're doing something right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In a way, you have to,
Yeah. You kinda,
not take that negative.
Yeah, and you have to find your own way of how you deal with that. Just for me, I always tell myself there's 7.5 billion people on this planet with 7.5 billion opinions about 7.5 billion different things. And I agree with that. Life. That's life. And the other thing too is, as a designer, if your goal is to please everybody, you're gonna end up pleasing nobody. And that's just sort of a general rule in life. When you try to please everybody, you end up pleasing absolutely no one.
I agree.
So
so I know you have that one saying. You said, "Ain't nobody got time for that."
Yes.
What
meme?
What is another thought that comes when you're designing any design? Like, is there something that just like when you're doing, you're like, okay, I need to like remember to do this, or no?
How are my margins? That is the space. That is the space between the border. Let's say I'm doing something on paper. The space between the border of the paper and the first elements closest to the border of the paper. So, for example, I just like to have a nice like 1/2 inch to 1 inch space between the border, the end of a piece of paper, and in between the paper and the design. So there's just like a nice border there.
That just brought back something. I worked for this designer, and I remember I was just like helping. Me and my friend just were helping him out, and then he would always like be like, make sure the border is spaced out. He's like you want it to be all even, and he's like, because people realize that really quickly. They see that it's not good, and then it was like, and then it took like every single one was like kind of like hard because you'd have to like make sure it's like even.
No, margins are serious. Margins are serious.
He was teaching me how to do that.
Last time I was here, Diongo wanted me to change the Presente flyer. He was like, "Can you put this over here?" And I looked at him and I was like, "Diongo, don't mess with my margins." And he thought I was joking.
Oh, really?
I was joking.
No.
I said it in a serious, like, sarcastic way.
Like when he was saying, I don't know what iced coffee is.
It's like the
I see you and you're like seem very like serious, but you're very funny in a way. Like you're, which is good. I think it's a good thing to have.
To me, you look like a strict teacher.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when you talk to him and you're like, are you saying that for real or you're joking?
No. There's a balance between being, loose and being serious.
Yeah, I agree.
Ultimately, I have to be professional at work, so that's sort of my goal. But me at home is a different thing.
I think we all are.
Yeah.
In a way. How do you measure the success of your designs?
Ooh, how do I measure the success of my designs? It can be different depending on what it is. I don't always care. Like someone says, "Oh, I love this. That's great." I don't. Cool, great. I did my job. That's not always a measure of success for me. It could be, did I meet an objective that I had planned for this? Did it bring? I'll use it a good example. So, Srjc, Diongo, Dlugus, and I all worked on a slide for, I think it was the county or the probation department. I'm not sure if I can speak too much about it, but there was one slide that was sort of an infographic, and I was very proud of it. And I got a text message from Srjc, and well, it was a group text message about, the presentation being a success, and that felt really good. Again, that's a lot of hard work by a lot of people. So I think having a goal and reaching that goal feels like success. Like we all put in our time and effort in this, and it panned out. We got something in return that we were wanting. So that felt really good in terms of like how I measure success. Do I look at something, for example, our social media account, and something only gets 6 likes opposed to 40 likes? Do I really like measure that and think I failed? No, because I learned something there. Like, why did it only get 6? Like, what did we do there compared to over here? Was it the time of day? Was it the topic? Was it the layout? Like, there's so many things to consider. Like, I don't think about failure and success. I just feel like learning or doing better or taking something away from what I created or we created in some cases.
Speaking on success, what is the proudest design you've made? And what was the process? Sorry, what was the process of it as well?
Does it have to be professional? Can it be personal?
It can be personal, whatever you want.
Okay. So there's an English club called Norwich City. You don't pronounce the W. So Norwich. I'm sorry. Norwich. I don't know why it's like that. Their crest is absolutely hideous. Like I look at it and how can you even want to support that club? But again, how I told you change a club crest, people are going to get fired up. So I changed it just for fun, and I put it on one of their own personal forums just to get like a reality check. Mm-hmm. And they were down with it. They were down.
Oh, really?
And I was like, yes, I did it.
Oh, wow. Did they take it?
They were like, man, I wish they would take this as their official crest. That was some of the comments, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think the negative comments were very minimum.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I was like, I'll call that a success. 8 out of 10 people liked it. We're good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So they didn't end up using it?
No, this is just for fun. It was like a fans forum, like where, people are going to express themselves. They're going to be transparent just because there's no consequences saying whatever they wanted. Typical forums. So I just put it there. I was like, let's see what they say. Let's see if I did it. Because the challenge I started to take after I got that earful with the one was like, okay, how can I design this while still being respectful of, this club that, these people have an emotional connection to? Mm-hmm. Because if you change that, you're going to get a lot of flack. You can't change things that people have an emotional connection to. It's very difficult.
That's true.
That is true.
Yeah. So I didn't get any money from that. I didn't get any recognition really other than the X amount of people that said, hey, top marks, mate. So, yeah, that's probably my proudest design. Got me $0.
We would like to see it for sure. Like after, I want to see that. I want to see that.
Mm-hmm. Before and after is important.
Yeah, I want to see how it looked before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely have to see it. Now, over the years, like I said, graphic design has developed. And especially now with the past 10 years, I think with social media being a big part of our lives now, that, there's different trends, there's different changes. And I think for filmmakers and, for everybody, you have to keep changing and my dad says it in Spanish, but I don't remember how to say it in English.
Say it in Spanish.
Actualizándose. You know what that means, right?
No, that I don't.
Is it improving?
I think it's improving, but it's like, updating.
Adaptation.
Yeah, maybe it is that.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Don't quote me.
How do you keep changing, with the changing trends? How do you keep up with that?
So, the past maybe 40 years, in terms of attention spans, we've gone from 30-second windows to 15 to 10 to 5 to 1 to fractions. Keep it simple. Ain't nobody got time for that.
That's going to be stuck in my head.
Big letters and not a lot of letters. Like
Okay.
as simple as you can. And even now, I don't even know if that's the way. Again, highly stimulating society. Animation is something I very much want to spend some time looking into. I mean, when you're talking about movies and all that kind of stuff, just put an Avenger in there and you're good. Those movies sell like hotcakes. Everyone wants to see the Avengers movies.
I love the Avengers movies.
I know. It's like my childhood came to life when that first one came out. Man. Because I used to buy comic books when they were 50 cents as a kid at the 7-Eleven. Now they're like $6. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, that's how I learned how to read. That's where I learned a lot of like moral things. Like if you look at the reason why Stanley made like the X-Men, it had to do with the civil rights movement. Like it's a parallel between civil rights, like treating people fairly. Like yes, they're different, mutants are different, but like that's sort of like what he was trying to say with the X-Men and everything. Like
I didn't even know that.
yeah, everything is a parallel to a social issue.
Wow.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna have to research that.
Yeah. So, and again, yeah, I just, I learned certain moral things through comic books. It got me into reading. I still love to read. Yeah, comics are great.
What is the difference between when you first started graphic designing and now? Like what has changed, not the difference?
For me, it's being better at advocating at what I do. I am generally a quiet person. Talking about myself is difficult. Talking about what I do is difficult, and so making sure that I know how to present what I'm doing, so I know the value of it, but letting everyone else know what the value is and why it's important. And it's still something I struggle with. I think I work at a place where, everyone knows the value of it, so I don't need to explain that, which is great. But I'd say I'm better at that. I would say I'm better at not getting emotional about things, like not letting things like get to me. Like if someone doesn't like something, I'm at the point where that's just part of it. Like obviously you get yelled at by British people on the internet. You can take anything at that point.
I want to get yelled at by a British person.
Probably don't even know what they're saying.
I actually want to do that.
Are you 6 and 7s, mate? No.
Wait, is that an actual thing?
Yeah, 6 and 7s. Are you 6 and 7s?
What's that?
I think it means, are you crazy?
Are you crazy?
I don't-
Have you lost your mind?
I don't
Or something
know.
like that. I don't
When
know.
they be like, "Have you lost your mind?"
No. No, they have their own slang.
Oh,
I can see that.
I
Yeah,
know they
I think in
do.
every places you go, they have their own thing. How can designers? I think it goes to. I was gonna say graphic designer, but I think it goes to everyone who works in the industry of the art. How can you overcome creative blocks, or do you even get creative blocks?
Oh, I get them all the time. Yeah, that's the reality.
what is a creative block?
It's like,
Like writer's block?
yep,
Like where you can't think?
you don't know what to do.
Oh,
You're just like,
It's
huh?
freeze.
It's
Yeah.
real.
How do you
I
overcome
get
it?
guilt over it. I get guilt over it.
Really? Why?
Because I feel like I'm wasting. When that happens, I
time.
feel like I'm wasting resources.
Okay.
So when you work at a place like MCM, you don't want to do that. I mean, you care about community. You want to make sure you're doing well by taxpayers' money. So Man, I hate it when it happens for MCM related work. I kind of just stop and go do something else.
Okay.
Get myself off the clock.
Okay.
And then think about it and then come back. Again, it doesn't happen a lot because people here know what they want for the most part.
Okay.
It might not be.
That's good then. That's good.
And it might not be completely defined yet. And I'll have to make edits later. But everyone, for the most part, knows what they want. And there's not a lot of that. So.
Okay. That's good though.
Yeah.
That's good though.
How long have you been working with MCM?
I met Douglas over 10 years ago to do community service when he had the Canal Welcome Center in the canal, in the garage. He had me design something. I don't even remember what it was. I was in college at the time. And never heard from him since, for a long time. And maybe the odd hello if I saw him. And then I went to coding boot camp.
Ooh, nice.
And I think my sister was working here at the time. And apparently Douglas wanted to make an app. And my sister said, Chris knows how to code.
Oh, okay.
And I really loved coding at this time. I really wanted to do it. I was gung-ho about it. I kind of had started leaving design behind. It was just there, like if I needed extra money.
Oh.
And brought me in to do an app. I don't know what was going on with the other designer. I don't know if it was the temp or whatever, but there was something where whatever that person was working on, and like, Chris, can you design this for us? And I took care of it really fast. They liked it, and it just turned into this kind of.
Is the app still here?
I never made the app.
Oh, you never made the app?
Yeah, I was about to say, I've never seen
I was like,
that.
I've never seen the app.
I never made it. I did the design. They liked it, and then they just kept giving me design work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, so we have a couple more minutes, and there's so much more I want to ask you.
Yeah, I was about to ask something.
Oh, ask it.
But do you want to make the semi-last question? Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to ask where have you worked before? Like, because you said, I thought you started working, like, after college here, but where have you worked previously?
Oh, man.
In designing? Or whichever. And coding, since you mentioned coding.
Oh, coding, I had an internship, and then right after the internship, Douglas was my first opportunity, and then I haven't coded really since. I mean, I use it in this job, but not to the degree that I learned, if that makes sense. Like, I use it for the website, but that's very, like...
That's it.
Relatively easier. Relatively, because you're not using as many languages. But yeah.
So this was the first job you got in graphic designing?
No.
No?
No. In terms of...
I know you did the Marin County one.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of gig work. This is a whole new conversation.
Oh.
But this will take an episode.
I was going to say that.
So I graduated when the economy... I went to college and graduated when the economy collapsed. And it was very hard to get work.
2008, right?
2008. Okay. And it was... Yeah, a lot of things went into that. I would say that's another episode.
Another episode.
There's a lot of feelings attached to that. There's a lot
I
of
can imagine.
eye-opening experience attached to that. A lot of disenfranchisement attached to that. A period of time. So if we ever want to have me back, I can talk about that.
For sure.
Because I don't think 1 minute is good enough.
Well, just to close off, do you have any questions for us before we end the show? Anything? We've been asking you so many questions, so you're so welcome to ask us any question. If you have any, if you don't, then is there something you've learned over the years that you would like to share with everyone who's watching?
If you don't know what you want to do, get yourself a library card and go to LinkedIn Learning, and you can learn anything you want for free. Don't go into debt until you're ready to commit to something for school. That is my recommendation.
Oh,
Is that an app?
No. LinkedIn Learning is what lynda.com is, but LinkedIn bought them out. And so you can learn anything you want to learn from professionals on there. If you are, I took out massive debt to go to school, and in a way, I sort of regret it. But we live in the information age. And here in Marin County, if you get a library card, you get LinkedIn Learning for free. You can learn whatever you want for free and get an idea of whether or not it works for you.
Ooh,
that sounds nice. I'm going to do that.
Great resource for anybody in this community to use. Like, before you commit that amount of money, know that that's what you want to do.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And I really do love that advice. So I do agree. College can be very useful, but you need to know, like,
Yeah,
and I said it's okay
It can
to
be expensive.
yeah.
it's very expensive.
So we're out of time. Thank you so much for everyone for watching. Thank you, Chris. We hope to have you again. And remember, we're always here every Friday at 4 p.m. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Friday. We'll see you guys next time.